What if I told you that saving money in your bank account is one of the riskiest financial decisions you can make? If you're keeping money in your bank account, waiting for the right time to invest, you're not playing it safe, you're choosing a guaranteed loss. These are the words of Charlie Munger, who's one of the greatest investors of our time. Most people think this is crazy until they see the maths. Over the last 2 decades, I have learned a lot about money, from working as an investment banker, managing wealth for the ultra wealthy, to completing a postgraduate degree in economics and finance, to reading books, as well as trial and error with my own money. In this video, I'm going to show you why keeping all of your money in a bank account can be a loss-making decision, and we'll talk about what to do instead. If we haven't met, hi, I'm Jumoke. I spent my career working as an investment banker for high and ultra high net worth individuals and families. On this channel, I post videos every Sunday on personal finance as well as financial freedom, with the hope of helping at least one person's finances in a meaningful way. Some people hold cash in their bank accounts, hoping and praying that it will be sufficient for retirement when the time comes. But I'm about to show you some scary but necessary data that explains why this might be a bad idea. $1,000 in 1970 is equivalent in purchasing power to about $8,242 today. This means $1 million in 1970 is roughly equivalent to $8,242,000 today. And the dollar has had an average inflation rate of 3.9% per year between 1970 and today, producing a cumulative price increase of 724%. So put another way, a dollar can only buy you 12% of what it could back then. And this graph shows you how inflation has eroded the value of a dollar over time. It shows that $1,000 in the 1970s is only worth around $114 today. So what this means is that in my lifetime alone, the dollar has lost up to 60%. And now imagine everything being twice or 3 times more expensive by the time you're in your 70s or your 80s. And even if you keep your money in a savings account where you are generating some interest, you will need that rate to consistently beat inflation to see any real or meaningful growth. Otherwise, you are guaranteed to lose some value of your savings and fall behind. And while I appreciate that cash in the bank and seeing your balances every month gives you a sense of agency and control like nothing else can, the value of your money is not what it says on your bank statement. It is what it can do in the real world. And so here are 4 reasons why only saving and not doing anything else with your hard-earned money can be a huge mistake. Inflation is the rate at which the price of goods and services increase over time. What this also means is that the value of money decreases over time as well. If you have $10,000 in your bank account and the rate of inflation is 4%, next year your $10,000 can only buy what $9,600 could buy before. And so even though the number in your bank statement will say $10,000, the value of that shrinks. But you might be thinking, well, I'll just move my funds into a savings account, which is actually better because at least you're earning something over cash, i.e. you are earning some interest, but unfortunately, it's not that simple. You see, if inflation is 4% and you are earning 3% in terms of your interest, you're still losing purchasing power. And that isn't a risk, it's a certainty. Let's use an example to make this clearer. If you have $10,000 in the bank and inflation is 4%, but your bank pays 3%, you lose 4% in value, but you've gained 3% in interest. So what this means is that your money has lost 1% in value. So next year, your $10,000 can only buy what $9,900 used to. And what's worse is that if the gap between inflation and interest rates stays the same over an extended period of time, for example, 25 years, you get to keep 99% of your money every single year. And so at the end of 25 years, you are only left with 78% of your original purchasing power. And so your overall loss here is 22%. But don't forget that the assumption we've used here is that that gap stays at 1%. It could get a lot worse, it could get better. And I think that overall, we tend to underestimate just how vicious the effects of tiny percentages can be on our money. And bear in mind that today, interest rates are on the decline and they are forecasted to fall even further. So whilst keeping money in your bank account over the long term might seem like a good idea and you're being safe, the value of your money might be getting depleted every year. A common myth is that investing is for the rich. And this may have been the case maybe 70 to 100 years ago, but things have changed. So investing isn't just for the rich, but it's for those who have disposable income. That's not the same as being rich. And I have heard a lot of successful investors say the same thing. The biggest risk is not taking any risk at all. So by keeping your money in the bank, you are avoiding volatility, but you're also avoiding investment returns, the wealth building effects of compounding, and other money making opportunities. So even though you protect your money and you have better control or better agency over it, you're also sacrificing growth and extra income that could be used to fund your future lifestyle. For most people, their salary is never going to make them wealthy. This is just a sad reality. But investing is one thing that could at least give you a chance at success. And I completely get it. Investing can be very intimidating with all of those numbers, all the charts, all the jargon. It can be a lot. And investing is certainly not without its risks. And maybe you are worried about losing the money you have, or you might think that you don't have enough yet, or maybe you're just waiting for the perfect time to start investing. But here is the truth. If you're waiting to get started, nobody can time the market, so there isn't a perfect time to start. And all of that time you spend waiting is time that could be allocated to compounding to do what it needs to do to grow your wealth over time. But the beauty of investing is that now you have so many options, and there's some easy options with very low barriers to entry. You can get started with just $100. And with this amount, you can become a part owner of a company by buying its stocks or its shares. Or if you prefer an easier path, you can buy ETFs, index funds, or mutual funds where all of the work is done for you by an investment professional. Here's a table that shows the average return of the S&P 500 over the last 30 years. The S&P 500 is the flagship index in the United States. Pay attention to the return adjusted for inflation, i.e., after accounting for inflation. That's way better than any savings account will offer you over the same period of time. You can also invest in productive real estate. So not just any property, but property that throws off income. Or you can invest in REITs, which are real estate investment trusts, which allow you to generate an income stream from a portfolio of properties without having to physically buy or manage the real estate yourself. All of the operations and control are done by a manager. And these assets have historically grown faster than inflation, whereas cash just sitting in your bank account earning close to nothing does not. Now, cash is an asset, and it's important for emergencies or short-term expenses or opportunities. And so the message here is not never hold cash. It is don't store long-term wealth in a place guaranteed to lose value. As I said before, a lot of wealthy individuals tend to buy assets that throw off income. And this income stream is more than enough to cover their expenses without having to work. And this is the true definition of financial freedom. I hope this video has been helpful. If it has and you aren't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for new videos on personal finance and financial freedom every week. I'll see you in the next video. Look after yourselves.